There you go. All right. I'm just checking my setup here. Okay. All right, folks. Well, welcome everybody to the August meeting of Nevada County Camera Club. And we've got a little bit of a different format tonight because tonight is the member showcase. So as Kathy's been alluding to, we're going to have the delightful experience of seeing our members put what they put together in terms of a series or sequence, and they'll get to share with us how that sequence came to be. So I'm always amazed at the creativity of folks. So that's going to happen. And so as a result, and hang on, I'm going to stop here for just a second. A question. I see Robin. I'm recording this, so just for other people who have to look, shouldn't I be seeing me since I'm talking?
Yes.
Any Zoom experts? I now see you, Kathy. I saw George. I saw Robin, but I'm not seeing myself as the main part of the Zoom panel.
Let me go to speaker view and see if you come up. You're up on speaker view, so you're
Yeah,
good.
she's fine.
I'm fine. So if I'm recording, okay. I just want to make sure that other people who are watching this can follow. So
Yeah,
okay.
you're good.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will continue. So because of the sequences and series tonight is the way this is going to flow out. Normally, each meeting we have announcements, and then we have the presentation, intermission, and then critique. So what happened this week is that there were very few submissions for critique for this month. And there was very low voting for the images that were submitted in July. And very curious as to why that might be. And Dave Arstein went in, and he's our data guru. And he said, interestingly enough, last year during the sequences and series, because we've done this program before, was also really low voting and really low image submissions. Not sure why that is. Maybe we need to work on our clarity of what's going to happen during the sequences of series month. But what we decided to do is to take the images that people submitted for this month for critique and push them forward into September. So they will be seen in September, and everybody else can also continue to submit images for critique for the September meeting as well. And then the voting, the same thing, we're going to have voting for July images also in September. So tonight it will be our announcements and then the presentations, the member showcase of the series by, Kathy, help me, 20 plus members.
25 now.
25 members will get to showcase their work. So that's going to be our primary thing this evening. So just so you know. All righty. So just general announcements from me is that we tried, just Kathy and I are keeping an eye on the background noise. If there is some background noise coming from your area, we will mute you, but you can always unmute yourself. But trying to make a high quality recording because these meetings are recorded for the rest of the members who could not be here and posted on the club's website. And if I didn't say it, I should say it every time and I always forget. I'm Rachel Rosenthal. If I haven't met you, I'm the president of the club for this year. So a couple other announcements from me is I know you all are wondering, as am I, when are we ever going to get to be together in person again? I don't know. What was it? Who was it said he felt like you're in the plagues, you know, and it does feel a little bit like that. The club sent out the survey of folks. We alluded in the survey that potentially August we could meet in person, but then the Delta variant raised its head. So we're in Zoom this month. Then we said, well, maybe September. I don't know, folks. We don't know. That's the bottom line. The board will meet September 2nd. We will absolutely be talking about that, and we will let you all know. Safety is our #1 priority. We only want to bring folks together when it is safe to do so. And I can't tell you when that'll be, but we will let you know for sure when we make a decision on that. So for now, we're on Zoom and we'll remain on Zoom until further notice. So sorry about that. I wish it were different, but it's not. All right, I do have some really happy things to announce to you all. One is the Nevada County Fair. We encouraged everybody to submit and for the Nevada County Fair Photography Competition. And oh my goodness, holy cow. Club members won a total of 33 awards in photography.
Placerville is welcoming fire evacuees to camp out in their parking lot.
Yeah, it's really become a safe haven for them to sleep.
That's Ed.
Oh, there you
Thank
go.
you.
I think he muted.
So I'm going to read the names of the folks who won an award. There are so many awards. I'd love to read each of your awards, but I don't know if there's time. But we're going to run through these. These are in alphabetical order of club members who won first, second, or third place in the Nevada County Fair, starting with Rick Eshelman, Sandra Boyd, Bob Brandstrom, Fred Claysons, Brian Dunbar, Eric Ingalls, Henry Goodman, Bob Ogden, Mike Oitzman, George Pelpel, Bernadette Sylvester, Ed Sylvester, Kathy Triolo, Bill Wages, Lori Woodhall, and Andy Wright. And what a showing by the club. And I want to make a special note to Rick, who took first place, best of division in the Proud Tradition Award, which is the award that the Nevada County Camera Club sponsors for the fair, for his pygmy owl image. So if you have not seen that, I assume the fair will post a list of winners. I looked and I couldn't find it. I assume I found past years, but not this year. So I'm hopeful that at least you'll be able to see their work. But congratulations, one and all. Really impressive turnout. Really nice to go through the exhibit and see so many familiar names, and with many with ribbons beside them. So well done. Well done. Okay. So next announcement is I want to see has Kent Killigrew joined us? I'm looking at the list of participants. Let me type in Kent. Can I find you? No. All right. So I have a very exciting thing to share with you, and I was hopeful that Kent could make it, but he is in an area of the state that has very sketchy internet. So he was not sure he could make it and asked if I would share this with you all if he's not here. So Kent and his wife, Diane Killigrew, are new to Grass Valley, Nevada City area. Some of you may know them. I met them just in the last couple of months. They've been members of the club for about a year, but haven't gotten to meet people in person because we've been on Zoom the whole time they've been members. But they came to me offering their services because they love the club. They love what we do, love all the presentations. But the one thing they were really looking for was having a hands-on learning component to add to everything else that the club does. And they were willing to lead what they're calling learning labs. So I'm very excited. The idea is these are going to be an hour 15 hands-on labs. And the idea is they're going to tie to our field trips, maybe the photo challenge, getting ready for an exhibition, or what members want to see, how to use your camera, how to print, those types of things. And the idea is they would be offered on alternate Monday nights. So 2 weeks off pattern from our monthly meetings. So you're kind of spaced out during the month. Kent and his wife, Diane, will facilitate the learning labs, and they'll be calling upon different club members to help join and help ones who have expertise in different areas to lead these labs. In small group drop-in, it's by Zoom, so you could just log on and join the group. And so the first one is going to be September 7th from 7 to 8:15. And I will be sending out an email with more details and the Zoom link later, but I wanted to give you a heads up. This particular one is how to use Atmosphere to improve your photos. And I believe Rick Eshelman is going to be the presenter, and Kent and Diane will be the facilitators. You'll be able to ask questions during the presentation. You can also suggest to Kent what things you'd like to hear as terms of a learning lab. So I'm very excited about that. I think it'd be a wonderful complement to the club. So any questions on that? It was in Kathy's newsletter. She had a piece on there on the learning labs as well. You can look for that and an upcoming email. Any questions? No? Everybody's good? Okay, well, I'm very excited, very proud of them for stepping up. So please support them, and hope to see at least some of you on September 7th. So, all right. I think that's all of my announcements. If Kent does show, pardon? If Kent does join us, I may have him say a couple of words so you guys can at least say hello to him. Hey, Ingrid. All right, with that, I will turn it over to Mark. Any announcements on membership?
Yeah, hi, everyone. Let's see, are there any guests with us tonight? If you're not a member of the club, could you raise your hand? Take a look at gallery view.
We have Anita Dupre.
Ruth and Anita. So, well, welcome Ruth and welcome Anita. Glad to have you here. If you guys have any questions about membership, I'm the membership chair and I will be around the entire meeting, including the intermission and toward the end. So if you want to grab me, you can certainly get me on email on the website. There's a link to my name if you'd like to join or have questions or whatever. But you can also grab me at the intermission if you'd like to talk directly. So welcome to the meeting. Yeah.
I heard about September 1st, there's going to be an orientation, is that right?
Yeah, that was going to be my other announcement.
Okay.
I am doing a new member orientation, which I do periodically. And that will be on Wednesday, September 1st, so in about a week and a half at 7 p.m. and on Zoom. And I've got about 5 people signed up already. So if you are interested in that, please let me know also. My email is marktriolo, so my first and last name, Mark Triolo, @gmail.com. And please do send me an RSVP if you would, and I will get you the Zoom instructions. But if you would like to see the email, Rachel did send an email on my behalf. So if you just search through your inbox, that went out about 4 days ago. And so you'll find that email. It has the Zoom credentials in it, and the time, date, and what's going to be covered at the meeting. But it basically will be an intro for people that have only been in the club a short time, and we'll talk about kind of everything you'd like to know, very laid back, relaxed, and shouldn't take too long to do, but people have found it very, very useful. So if you want to join in, please do. And so again, Ruth and Anita, enjoy the meeting tonight. We have one new member since last meeting, and that is Bob Oliver, but I do not see him online tonight. So I will catch up with Bob next time around. We're at about 144 members now. We just keep slowly incrementing up. So good for us. But I will catch up with Bob next time at the next meeting where he's here. So back to you, Rachel.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Mark,
Yes.
okay, it's me. Did you announce Stephen Black as a new member? He asked me if you announced him. Do you have him on the list?
I don't think
His name is Stephen Black. That's his name.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, you know, had been announcing him for
You did?
months.
Okay.
He was never here, and so I moved him off my announcement list.
Okay.
He was never here. Are you here?
I'm here.
Oh,
All right.
oh,
Okay, there he is. Okay.
Where are you?
Okay, I've done my duty.
Thank you. Yeah, so you go by Stephen?
Stefan.
Stefan. Hi, Stefan.
Hi.
Well, welcome to the club. I'm glad we were able to finally catch up with you.
Yeah.
What we usually do is just have new members just make a brief, 30-second statement about what type of photography you're interested in, so we can get to know you a little bit.
Well, let's see. I do a lot of landscapes. I do bird photography. I have a Canon 100-400, the new 100-400 zoom lens, and with the attachment that magnifies it even more. I can't remember the name of it right now, but
teleconverter.
yeah. So I'm pretty active with birds and landscapes and street photography. I have a little what's it called? Can't remember right now. I just bought it. for street, a 35 millimeter fixed lens for street photography, mirrorless camera.
Very nice. Well, you're in a good place. There are a lot of wildlife and landscapers in the group. I don't think we have as many street photographers, so maybe we'll call on you one day to do a quick presentation, because I've always had an interest in that. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about that as a part of photography. So Stephen, welcome. Stefan, welcome to the group.
Thanks.
Glad to have you here. And hopefully we'll see you at a meeting soon when we can actually see you with the molecules right in front of our face rather than by a cable.
Any plans for that?
Rachel talked about that a little bit. And the answer is we're taking it month by month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So yeah, we were about to meet live and then Delta cropped up. And so now we're back to month.
So
All right.
hopefully soon, but no promises. Yeah.
So let me ask, because there were quite a few new members that I had been calling on, and same thing kind of happened. They weren't here for 4 or 5 meetings, so I kind of moved them off my list. Are there any other new members here tonight that haven't introduced themselves to the group?
My name is Lisa Alcantara, and this is my first time in the group. I have some major lens flare going on.
Oh, it says Lisa's bandwidth is low on my screen.
Yes. Sorry about that. Internet's sketchy.
Okay.
But hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Lisa, what's your last name again?
Alcantara.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
And you are a member or a guest?
Yeah, a member. A
Okay.
member. My
I'm sorry.
first meeting, however.
Okay, got it. Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's hard for me to keep all the names straight. Well, welcome to the group. Could you do the same as what Stefan just did and just give us a thumbnail sketch of what you do with photography?
Well, I'm quite new at photography, but I definitely love landscape. That's my that's what I love to do. I really enjoy getting out on my bike early in the mornings with my camera and taking whatever's kind of resonating with me.
Great. Well, you're also in a good place from a learning standpoint. We've got a lot of people, I'm just checking something here, but we've got a lot of people that are very willing to help. And in fact, I don't recall, I got a whole bunch of emails. I don't know if Lisa, you are signed up. Good. Okay. And Stefan, I think you are, yeah, you are also signed up. Good, for the new member orientation. So that'll be a great place to kick this off because I can fill you in on everything we do, which is a huge, huge list, especially Lisa from a learning standpoint. So there are a lot of resources, and I would just suggest the newer members in the group, and even those of you that have been around, please take advantage of those. The biggest thing I'll announce to the group is that we do have that volunteer educator list where we have about 15 to 20 members that have raised their hand and said they would be willing to train on specific subjects. There is a matrix on the club website that shows what they're interested in, and they will give you free one-on-one. I mean, how can you beat that? So please take advantage of that. It doesn't get highly utilized. And if any of you have specific needs from shooting to Photoshop, we've got someone interested and able to help you on a one-on-one. So take advantage of that, everybody. So Lisa and Stefan, welcome to the group. Good to have you. And with that, I will turn it back to Rachel.
Okay, thanks. So welcome, Stefan and Lisa. Glad to have you here. Okay, with that, we'll move to field trips. Our field trip coordinator, Bill Wages.
Hey everyone, how you doing? We don't have a whole lot right now. We have the one scheduled, I think was it September 10th for the nighttime astrophotography. And we're kind of playing that one by ear. We got a few factors kind of against us. Number one, the COVID thing. Number two, they shut down the Tahoe National Forest, and unfortunately, the first destination was for Bear Valley, which is out in Tahoe National Forest. I don't know if they restrict the access to that area or not. And then number three is going to be the smoke. So what was the consensus, Rachel? We're going to kind of wait till what, like Labor Day or something? And
Well, that's what I was suggesting, is then we'd have a more accurate forecast in terms of the smoke and whether or not we can get access to that area. And once we know, then we'll make a decision, is what I was suggesting. So whatever.
okay. I mean, and there's also talk of changing location as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah.
know,
If the,
Rick asked me to check with Linda at Lucchese about doing one there again, but I haven't heard back from her.
okay.
David, I talked to her earlier in the week and just kind of mentioned it to her, and she seemed to be up for it. I didn't have a definite say we really want to, but she seemed to be open for it though. So,
Yeah, I think she would be fine with it.
yeah,
Probably the biggest question is that we tried to do that last year. And
Yeah.
the smoke got us last year.
Oh, did it?
I'm
Oh,
a little afraid that the smoke might get us again this year if we did that.
I know,
so it's just a kind of a wait and see, hate to do that, but
right.
just things are up and down. And then we also in October, George has his Death Valley trip coming up as well. So that's all we have scheduled at this point. It's just too iffy to try to schedule stuff this time of
I
year,
know it.
the way things are going. So the heat, the smoke, and everything else. So, but
We're trying. We're trying.
Yeah. Once things start looking better,
Yeah.
October, maybe do some local fall colors and stuff like that. And maybe Sacramento for a little evening and night photography down on the water or something at Old Town or something like that. So, but
Okay.
stay posted. I mean, stay tuned.
Stay
So
tuned. All right. Thank you, Bill.
you're welcome.
All right. So next up is Dave McClellan, gallery shows. Would you like to share with the group?
I just saw that Ellen,
We lost you there, if you can hear me.
oh, okay.
There you are.
Yeah, Ellen is here.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just walked in the door a couple minutes ago. But yeah, so gallery show is up, Creative Portraits, that's been up for about a month now, and it'll be up through the end of September. We are tentatively planning for a closing reception on September 23rd. That will of course depend on how well COVID's going, but we have the plans in place and we're just gonna wait and see how it goes. So.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anything else, Dave? Ellen? Nope.
Nope, that's it from me.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other announcements for the good of the order? Yeah, David.
So I just wanted to let you know, I still have a couple openings for Ireland next year, April 16th of 22. And for our Ireland workshop, we have 2 groups going. The second group is full. First group is full except for a couple spots. And then Josh Miller and I officially launched our Costa Rica workshop, and that will be in the beginning of July of 22. And we have, as of right now, 7 spots still open, and that'll be a real fun thing. And for those of you that don't know Josh, he is a wonderful, wonderful photographer, and he and I are doing this workshop. He's had the privilege of being there 12 times. So it'll be a very fun workshop, guaranteed. If you don't come back with great photos, you didn't pick up your camera. So anyway, let me know if you have any interest.
Okay. All right. Any other announcements? No? Okay, guys. Well, with that, I will turn it over to Kathy Triolo, our Vice President, for our series sequence presentation.
Thank you, Rachel.
Mhm.
Right. Always like to catch up.
Oh,
on
you
all-
guys are in the same space.
Look at
Normally you are not.
that.
Magic.
It's only because I get to blur him now, if you know. Yeah, anyway, yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate all those announcements. So tonight is a unique event. We do this once a year. I always look forward to it because you just never know what we're going to get, what we're going to see. It's exciting because there's so much talent in this club, and it's exciting to present this. It's exciting for me to see them as they come in. I get all excited. I guess. So that's the word for tonight, excitement. So those of you who are observing, if it is not your time to talk, I would ask everyone that you mute yourself. Because even if you are quiet, if you creak your chair, you're going to steal the thunder away from our presenters. So, so we're going to mute everybody. And when it's your time to talk, then unmute. Okay. And also, I just want to let each of you know, all the presenters, that you have approximately 5 minutes total for any thing that you'd like to share, and also questions from the audience. So I'll be keeping track of that, and I really would like to adhere to that, and I don't want to be rude. So if you can be time aware, that would be really great. So with no further ado, let's move on, and let me share my screen. And let me get here and do this technical stuff first. All right, so that. Right. Does everybody see Nevada County Camera Club member series?
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you all. All right, this is August 2021, and the first person that is going to share his series is Fred Finney. So Fred, why don't you unmute and you get to take over, and I'll push it forward here.
Okay, hi everyone. Here's the little blurb at the beginning.
Did you want to read this, or you want me to just keep going?
I'll read it. I used to want to be an abstract painter. Then I discovered photography and wondered, what if? And here are some of my creations and the results of the question I asked many decades ago. And I'll also mention that these are not in exact chronological order.
Okay.
And this is symbolic of the creative cogs, ideas in my head turning to figure out how can I put photography and painting and abstract expressionism together. And somehow I accidentally got 2 of these in here. Sorry, but this is the aha moment, the brainstorm. And this is the first creation, when things finally came together, when I was able to put the 2 together. And this is also film. Yep, so that was film many decades ago, and then I skipped a couple of decades till digital photography came along and made this a lot easier. And then the next one was my one of my first favorite creations.
So Fred, how did you do this?
Well, basically these are, excuse me, fairly large canvases. I'll say 36 by 24. And most of them are just geometric objects with purple, in this case, red, green, and with painted on black. And then I stood in front of the camera, a telephoto lens, maybe 20 feet away, and then using motion, moving the canvas along with longer exposures. I did a lot of experimenting as to what was a good exposure and how fast should I move it. And now and then I would get something magical like this.
Thank you for that.
And then there were also many artists, one of them being Morris Lewis, and also there's another person later on I was really inspired by, and I thought, I think I could sort of do things in their style and do sort of a homage to them. So the next 2 are Morris Lewis, one of my favorite color field painters. This one I also showed, it was one of my monthly submissions. And this was just one that I thought was really fun. And now we're moving into ones that were inspired by this sequence. About a month ago when I found out, I went, okay, I now have a reason to do more of these and to really spend some time. And So I really started dedicating a lot of hours to painting and trying these. And, you know, this was one that kind of came out fun in my opinion. And then these were, there was another artist, Paul Jenkins, and also a color field painter. And I really loved his work. And these were sort of in his style a little bit. And this one is very much in his style. And then, of course, like, you know, all of us, it's like, well, I need to start breaking away into my own style. So I feel like this is a small step in that direction to start doing something that's really, really original and my own. I like this one a lot. My wife calls it lava lamp. And finally, the Serenity Prayer. This was one I submitted a while ago, and this was me, meaning that I needed to accept I wasn't an abstract painter, but I was a decent photographer, and so this was something that I wasn't able to change, but I was able to change, and to know the difference. And as a final blurb, for the future, I'm a big Mark Rothko fan, and I can't wait to start working on some of these. I call them painterly picks, and do some in his style, and also things in my own style.
Great. Thank you, Fred. These are just beautiful.
Well,
Just
thank you.
beautiful. Thank you for joining
Thank you so
us.
much.
You're welcome.
Kathy,
All right,
Kathy, can I ask just quickly, could you possibly make these full screen?
Aren't they full screen?
No, we see
Oh,
the slides along the
Oh,
bottom.
no, you shouldn't be seeing the slides.
That's what I figured, so if you wouldn't
Oh.
mind.
I see it full screen.
I don't.
I see the
Well,
slides.
Hold on, let me try this again. I'm gonna stop sharing. And then I am gonna share again. Thank you for letting me know, Rachel.
Yeah, I figured that you intended them to be full screen. Maybe it's on my end, but I'm not the only one. It's been in the chat too.
Oh,
There,
okay.
yay, that's full
All
screen.
right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. And for those of you who are chatting, I can't read chat right now. So tell Rachel and then she'll yell at me. All right.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Fred, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you mentioned that one image was an aha moment. What was aha? What can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The aha moment was, and honestly, it's been so long ago, I don't remember, but it was, oh, what if I painted different colored geometric shapes and colors and then brought motion, like I said, basically the process, using motion with a, I experimented anywhere from a half second to maybe a 15th of a second to figure out what's gonna give this, I was looking for gradients, particularly where the colors blurred over. And this is a good example of that, because these are all kind of boring static images. But with that, doing whatever, a 10th of a second, 5th of a second, they create a gradient and blend.
Any other questions for Fred?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Have you made these into big pieces, like big wall pieces? Because these look like they would go in a museum or an office or something. They're gorgeous.
Now probably their best display was at my chiropractor allowed me to display them in many of his rooms, and the largest were probably 36 or 30 by 20, whatever. Yeah, the 3:2 ratio, 30 by 20. So that's as large as they've ever been.
All right, we need to move on. Thank you, Fred.
And
All right,
thank you.
Mike Shea, I'm putting yours on next, just for you to be aware. This is a art creation by Mike Shea. So let's just do this. Make sure this is working. I'm sorry, that's not it. Right here.
For several months out of every year, I'm hypersensitive to the danger of fires and what I will do if one is coming my way, like the recent river fire. Because I've been thinking about fire so much lately, I remembered that there are other aspects of fire. It isn't always the enemy. I've taken pictures of campfires and other type of fires over the years and discovered that, like snowflakes, flames are unique and can create some fascinating shapes. So I decided to share with you some of the more friendly aspects of fire. I urge you all to prepare an evacuation plan. So if you do have to leave your home, you will know what you want to take with you and where you will go.
All right. Yeah, I need to clap for that. That was incredible. Anybody have questions for Mike?
I have a question. How long of exposure did you use on some of those?
You know, I don't remember. I have no idea. I mean, I have to look at the camera data to answer that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And everybody, I hope you realize that Mike performed that as well. That's pretty incredible. Yeah.
Right.
Shelby, did you have a question for Mike or?
I just said that was great. It was beautiful.
Okay. All
Loved it.
right.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
My father was a psychiatrist. Did you ever consider this as sort of a alternative to a Rorschach test? I mean, I saw dragons and I saw flowers and it was beautiful. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, Mike. The next presenter is Shelby Cohn. And so Shelby, I'm going to let you take over while I do the slideshow.
Okay, thank you. So I started photographing children when my son was 2. He's now 33. I photographed over 900 portraits a year on film, all done by myself. This is a preschool called P.B. Hearst Preschool, and the kids painted their own backgrounds. And I don't know why, but I just feel like I have this knack for like being silly. I use a really high voice and I use puppets. And my intention is to give confidence to children when they're little. And I've heard years later that children are confident from these beautiful pictures that I took of them, and I bring them the 8x10s. And when I photographed at this preschool, they said it was like a live movie where I'd move around to all these different places on the playground, where they can play and take different pictures. And it's my favorite thing to photograph is 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. They have such an innocence about them that I just really, really adore. And I haven't photographed any kids up here like at preschools. So if you know of any preschools that would appreciate some photography like this, I'd be more than happy to help them. So does anybody have any questions?
And that's her last photo. So I'm just impressed by how sharp and wonderful you got their eyes in every single shot.
Thank you. That was my Canon 5D, my beautiful sharp lens.
I would add that I think they're wonderful. They're a lot of fun.
Thank you. I actually use the reflectors to get their eyes, and because a lot of, when I see a lot of people photograph kids, you can't see the color of their eyes. You can't see the sparkle and all that. And I actually into their eyes and I blacken the blacks and I whiten the whites. And sometimes I'll even paint in the eyebrows a little bit and I'll brighten their teeth and I'll take the stuff underneath their eyes a little bit, just so you could just see the brilliance of them.
What kind of film did you use on these?
I don't, this was all digital.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
sorry. I
done too-
thought it was film.
No, I said I did photograph film, but then back in 2006, I started photographing digital. So I photographed kids a long time with film, and then I started doing digital. So I photographed at this preschool for 23 years in a row until I moved up here.
All right, thanks. I like the milk mustache on this little guy. You can
Right.
just barely see it. All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up is Dave McClellan. Dave, do you want to take over?
All right, I think I'm unmuted.
All right, good. All right.
Okay. We're here. All right, so it's a relaxed moment at the family camp in Big Sur, and we're discussing the intricacies of life with aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers and sisters, and all their kids and all their kids. Or just sitting back and listening to the river. And that's when somebody comes along and says, Dave, are you ready to take the family portrait? So what happens next? Everybody has to get up, and kids are sent running through the long line of campsites that we occupy along the river, calling out, it's picture time. And so then I need some tables moved. And all the while I'm looking at the contrasty dappled sunlight and the background trees across the river in all that bright sun, and realizing all of a sudden that I didn't bring my flash on this trip because I forgot about the family portrait. And how am I going to end up to adding fill light to the faces? So I'm shooting like crazy while it's all being set up, and I'm experimenting with shutter speeds and ISO settings, searching for the optimum combination. I do have my LumiCube Mini with me. I'll go back one, Kath, not done yet.
Okay.
There we go, yeah. Now I have my LumiCube Mini with me and a small tripod, and I'm hoping that it will be enough to fill in the shadows. Okay. And the stage is set. All right, next slide. So my Aunt Marion and my Uncle Gordon, as the elder council of our extended family, are front and center, the matriarch and patriarch of my family at this time. And all the rest. Happily, between the LumiCube barely filling in the shadows and Photoshop raw manipulations, I was able to find some balance and exposure on all of our faces. And I realized afterwards that there was a whole string of cars parked along the road behind me. And if I'd have had everybody turn on their headlights, that might have helped work with some fill light as well. And the last slide. And of course, you have to add in the tickle shot. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. That's very cute. That's quite a challenge.
To say well done. I've shot a lot of large groups. It's really hard to get everybody looking at the camera at the same time. Well done.
So Dave, were you using a trigger or a timer?
It's the 10-second timer on my camera.
Okay.
is what was working.
So, hey, Dave, did you have to Photoshop anybody's face? Was anybody making a kind of a funky face and you took a few shots and took their face from another picture and moved it over?
No, Mike, I didn't have to do that. My family is very used to doing this. We do this every year. And I shoot many, many shots. And so I've always got some great ones to choose from. And no, I haven't had to do that.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Any other questions or comments for Dave? All right. Thanks, Dave. That looks like fun. It makes us want to be part of your big family. All right. Next up, Ingrid Lockhart. Ingrid, would you unmute? And let us know you're here.
Okay.
All right. Floor is yours.
Okay, so basically my husband and I are been coming to Michigan in the spring and fall for many years. And so this is a 40-hour trip. And therefore I need to do something to occupy my mind. And so I have my camera out and I've learned to take photos at 75 miles an hour, which is what the speed limit is pretty much the whole way across. And to get to where we go, you basically get on I-80 and drive to Chicago and then turn left. So it's a 40-hour trip. So these are just a series of pictures that I took last year on our 40-hour trip. And I wish I could tell you exactly where all these are, but I don't know. And so this is, I believe, in Wyoming somewhere. And I called it as an alternative for Spacious Skies because it seems that that is what makes most of these pictures, is the fact that the skies were so interesting. And I couldn't tell you exactly where this is. I think Utah, but there were some beautiful rock formations along the way. There were also a lot of snow fences, and I believe that was mostly in Wyoming, and it was beautiful. I believe this is Utah as well, and this is the end of the day, sun hitting the, and I will say that the light was important. I didn't do as much in the middle of the day as I did in the evening and the morning. This was in Utah, and I felt very lucky at 75 miles an hour to actually get that track in focus. So.
You are the queen.
And I couldn't tell you where this is, but it was gorgeous.
Ingrid, did you do any adjustments to these photos?
Of course. Yes, they were, they've been adjusted significantly. Mostly cropping out the very bottom. It was often not in focus close up to the car. So I did that. And this was a major storm coming. I believe this is Iowa. But who would think that Iowa was pretty, and it really was. So again, a fast shutter speed was absolutely necessary.
Where is this?
I couldn't tell you. Nevada, maybe. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's amazing what's along I-80. And this is definitely Iowa. And I don't know where this is, but sky.
Ingrid, could you say something about, did you track so that you had the camera moving, panning, and then
No.
snap at a moment?
No, I'm doing 2000ths of a second, and I take thousands of photos. So these are ones that, a lot of them I don't get what I thought I was going to get because I went by it. So, and sometimes I'll find things in the picture that I had no clue I was actually taking photos. So, but it is a very nice way to spend a 40-hour trip. So.
And this is Ingrid's last slide. So if anybody else has comments or questions, this is the time.
I do. I've always just loved your work, Ingrid. And so, but what's the technique? Do you roll down the window or are you shooting these through the
Oh,
car?
I don't roll down the window because that creates quite a storm in the car and my husband, the driver, is not excited about that idea. So do watch the window off in the morning before we get in, but I also do a lot of Photoshop dust removal because there are often bird nests in, and when I take a picture out the front of the car, which I do sometimes, you know, you have that shadow of the tinted window at the top. So there's a lot of wasted digital time. I'm glad it's not film and I don't have to pay for the development because there's a lot of wasted stuff. Anyway, but it's fun.
The nighttime picture, the one with the black and white and the tree. That was really beautiful.
Sure, I have to say is manipulated. The sun was hitting that tree, but I created this by darkening it. And you know, when you turn to black and white, it really is a lot easier to create that. So
yeah, I thought infrared, like.
Yeah, it looks infrared, but it's not. It's
okay, beautiful.
Photoshop. So
thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
So if any of you want to take a trip to Michigan, I recommend it.
And I'm going to ask once again, if you can mute yourself if you're not speaking, it would be helpful because we get background noise. Thanks. All right. Thank you, Ingrid. Good to see you. Wish we could see you in person.
No, you can't anyway.
Well, yeah, we could, but. All right. Next up is June Anderson. June, are you here? Give her a few minutes to unmute if she is. You know, June has difficulty with internet connection, so she may not be here and she may watch this. If she's not here in person, what happens is she'll watch it afterwards, the recording. So I don't think June is here. So I'm going to take you through her slides. She's called it Art in Motion, and these are all slides, are images of the Yuba River. I would say June mostly is an abstract photographer. That seems to be her passion. Rachel, I think that somebody needs muting. This is June's last slide, and the thing I can add about June is that she always gets into Wild and Scenic every year. We love her photos. So if you have questions for June on her technique, feel free to email her. I know she'd love to talk with you. All right. Next up, Chris Schiller. Chris, do you want to unmute and join us?
So when you think of ocean photos, maybe you think of Edward Weston's beach photos or waves crashing into lighthouses, or maybe some of the more modern neutral density filter, long exposure, moody photos. I'm always trying to avoid the tripod holes of other photographers. So I thought I'd take you through a different way of looking at ocean photos. Next slide, please. This photo, I was trying to sort of have the static in the middle of chaos of the waves crashing in. That's the concept behind this one. The shutter speed depends upon how close you are to the water and how fast the water is moving. I think this is also a composite of several photos. In some areas of the photo, the water's better. In some areas, it's worse. So by combining multiple exposures, you can get an overall effect or at least I got an overall effect I was looking for. Next slide, please. You can also go underwater. This is a relatively cheap waterproof camera. And if you have a little kayak or something, you can, or I guess if you have a wetsuit, you can go out and you'll need to take a lot of exposures, but you can find some quite interesting things underwater. And bubbles are your friend. Next slide, please. Or go black and white. And instead of trying for when the water is coming in, maybe try for when the water is going out. Next slide, please. If things seem boring and there's not much going on, maybe experiment with composition, different layers of water and land. Next slide, please. This is the same as the previous photo with the static and movement. The water is just a little bit higher. Tide-wise, usually lower tide is better because you get a little more exposure of some of the sea life that's just under the water. Next slide, please. Go for drama. Next slide, please. Again, bubbles are my friend. Get a little bit of serendipity with the bubbles. Point that waterproof camera upward, take lots of images. Next slide, please. Maybe try for foreground objects with that moving water in the background. Next slide, please. And this is the third one of the same scene. Just a little more exposed rock, a little different feel for what's going on. Next slide, please. And then underwater in black and white. Hard to tell if it's a flora or a fauna. Next slide, please. Again, go for drama. Wait for that water to go out instead of catching it as it's coming in. And final slide, please. Again, I think this is a composite of several of the best takes for the certain area of the image. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Beautiful images. Anyone have any comments or questions for Chris?
Oh, I have a question. What's the shutter speed on these composites, like the one we're looking at?
Again, I don't remember, but it's probably something like a 30th or a 10th of a second. It depends how fast the water is moving and how far away it is.
How many shots are composited here?
Probably, I'm remembering 3 maybe.
Were you in the water or were you just plunging your hand down?
This is taken from top of a sort of short cliff, looking down on the surf.
No, the underwater ones where you could see the light behind the images.
Oh, that's so I'm sitting in a kayak, so it's no more than an arm's length below the water.
That's way cool. Very nice. Yeah, that's exactly the one I was thinking of. Beautiful.
What beach were you at?
I don't remember the specific names. These are all Northern California somewhere.
Oh, so they were all different beaches.
Yeah, there's probably 3 different areas represented here.
Ah, okay. Anyone else? All right, thank you so much, Chris. Beautiful images. Okay, Craig. I think you're here, right, Craig?
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Okay. So a few weeks ago, we went up north into Siskiyou County to a regional caving convention. And this is one of the caves we were in. Pluto Cave was discovered in, what was it, 1863 by a rancher looking for his cows. I did a little research. It's 190,000 years old. In the area, there's mapped, the local caving group mapped over 700 lava tubes. This was one of the easier ones to access, so we just spent an afternoon and went in there. Next slide, please. At various points, the ceiling is collapsed, affording access to the lava tubes. Some parts of the lava tubes are like a subway tunnel, just a clean floor. Others have breakdown and rubble. Next slide. As you can see, they're huge. They vary completely in size, but this is one of the main areas, the main tunnels we were in. Next slide. We paused here. This is my wife Laura for lunch, and we were completely out of the ambient light. It was just headlamps for eating. Next slide. There, even the fact that it's a lava tube, the formations in there are pretty dramatic. Totally different from a standard cave that you have stalactites, stalagmites, flowstone, etc. Next slide. Yeah, just just fantastic formations, and this was just all from her headlamp. And all these were taken with my new iPhone 12 Pro, which does a great job in the dark. Next slide. So you can see just the breakdown in the lava tubes, and just they're slowly collapsing in various areas from weathering. Next. And there's as we're exiting, Laura is down in the lower left of the picture, so you get an idea of the size of the opening. I think that's the last one.
So I have a question for you. Were you ever worried with all that decay that was happening that you might be hit by something?
There's always a possibility, but usually it's a freeze thaw thing. So in the spring, as the ice melts, then that's the greatest amount of danger. So it tends to stabilize, in the summer. I've been in caves and mines and lava tubes and have never had a problem. Although it's always possible.
Good to know. Questions or comments for Craig?
Where is that?
It's about 11 miles northeast of Weed, California. And it's just one of many. This is probably one of the more popular ones because it's easy to get to. And the local caving group, which, I've been a caver since the 60s, has all these mapped. So you just go find them out, drive up and meet with them, and you take off and explore, hundreds literally of different lava tubes.
Did you use a tripod?
No, it's all just handheld with my iPhone.
Thanks, Greg. That was great.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Henry Goodman.
Okay, am I on? Yeah, I should be
You
on.
are on. All right.
All right, so I guess what I'm showing is some just general adventures over the course of the year. And a couple of these were with other people. This one was with Bill Wages. Bill showed me this little place on the river, and I love the color of the water and also the patterns in the rock. Again, this was on my own, just kind of finding little spots where something magical happens. And as the sun was setting, it was hitting the water, and also trying to get the flow of the water. I think that I shot this at about 1/6 of a second. Again, this was from a similar spot, not the exact same spot. It was early spring when the water was really high. And I came back the next week because I wanted to shoot something a little different, and the river had totally changed just because there wasn't rain that week. Okay, now this was with Mike Shea. We took a ride down to Beeks Bight. And as some of you probably know, this was an area that was underwater, but because of the drought, it dried out. But I guess there were these lupin seeds in the soil, and they exploded all over. And just a beautiful place in the midst of what is ugly in a lot of ways, the lack of water. Again, this was also at Beeks Bight. And again, all of this was underwater. Actually, where I was standing, I could see that I was standing in a place that was underwater. And the granite was exposed, and just a beautiful spot. Okay, and then of course, in the spring, I spent a lot of time down at the Yuba River at sunset, and sometimes get kicked out of there because I try to stay too late. But anyway, this was kind of a magical evening where there was a nice sunset and it was reflecting on the river, which I really love, the colors of the sunset reflecting on the river. Okay, then in June, I went to the Redwoods, and I actually met up with David and David Wong and Bill and some other folks for a day. But anyway, I went off on my own, and I was just walking through the Redwoods, and it was foggy. And then all of a sudden the sun broke through, and it cast these magical rays of light. And that was that same morning. Okay, and then walking on another day in the Redwoods, and I liked the way the light was coming across, and it was hitting the ferns, kind of sort of where the ferns are in the middle of the picture, and then the path just taking you into where the ferns are. Okay, now coming into the fall, I guess this would be last fall, by the Nevada County Library, there are these magnificent maple trees. And so just shooting them at around sunset when the light highlights the colors in the sort of the kind of the upper on 1/3 on the point of 2/3 in the upper left, the color of the maple was really brilliant. And then just walking in Nevada City, there was this one backyard that I just found kind of captivating, and just the colors, the variety of colors drew me in to this picture. Sort of a little bit of a plum color. Maybe it is a plum tree. And then in the fall, again, this was with Mike Shea, taking a walk to Sanford Lake. The drive there is very slow on a very bumpy road, but once you get there, you hike down about, I think it's 0.6 mile. But it's a beautiful little lake. And there's a plant called bilberry that would have been bright red a few weeks earlier, but it had turned this beautiful burgundy, and it was the evergreen trees and the sheer rock wall face and the bilberry were all reflected in this pond.
Right, thank you, Henry. That's his last slide, last image. Anyone have any comments or questions for Henry and his beautiful images?
Hey, Henry, we'll have to go back to those places. They're gorgeous, man.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike.
I want to go with you, man.
They're sort of impressionistic photos, aren't they?
They're gorgeous.
All right, thank you so much, Henry. Next up, Jeff Alscotter.
I'm here.
Great, it's all yours.
The original driveway that I had was not very well done. So I had it redone, and the first photo is to give you an idea of the entire driveway, what it looks like. And the first step is putting down gravel. So I showed some photos of the gravel truck. This kind of photography is kind of like sports photography because it has to be done very fast. And these men are not posing. So it's a lot of panning. And that the gravel truck had problems with an oil leak. So he had to come back a few days later. So that's how come I took this photo of the gravel before it was actually graded. And this is the grading. So you can see some of the equipment and the drivers. And the water truck is getting there. And that's the next step. And that's the water truck in action. And the last step is the rolling. And so the softened driveway is rolled over, and all of this was panned. And that's the foreman. And that's the foreman again with the water truck. And that's the full cast. Almost taking a bow. And that's on their way out. They finished.
For anybody who likes big machinery, I'm sure they were really enjoying this. Anybody have a question or comment for Jeff?
So how long before they said you're going to get some potholes?
I think I've got a few years before that happens.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The road base under it isn't so good, so it could happen soon, but hopefully not. But it is pretty good. It's almost like concrete. They did a really good job.
Who did you have do it?
Eshman?
Not familiar with them.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of this kind of thing, so I take a lot of pictures of it.
Cool.
What was the distance that you had to have rebuilt?
I'd say about 250 feet.
Uh-huh.
Great for the journalistic story. I like the story. It's great from beginning to middle to end. It was well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have grandkids?
No.
Oh, well, if somebody does, it's a great photo book. It would make a great photo book to go through with your kids just learning to read. So
Great idea.
That's a good idea.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.
Sure.
Education on grading your road. I think it's good. Us city slickers don't.
boys love trucks, you know, they love pictures of trucks.
That's true. All right. Thank you. Lizzie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Good. I have a new microphone, so this is its virgin outing.
It sounds great. You're coming across nice and clean.
So this series is a presentation of photos after the river fire, which came onto my property in Chicago Park, spared my house and my barn, but took out a woodshed, a whole lot of fencing, a whole lot of other stuff, and a lot of our neighbors' homes. So it was an emotionally challenging project, but also I think kind of cathartic for me. So here are some pictures. That is the only picture I included. That is August 4th from my driveway, the fire approaching as we are responding to the code red alert, which at that point was a suggestion for us to evacuate. Was just about a half hour later when it was mandatory. As you can see, there was no reason to sit around and wait. So 3 days later, I returned to the property and was just amazed at how white vinyl fencing turns into giraffe pattern when it melts. And of course, the skies were full of smoke from the Dixie Fire, primarily at this point. This is a shot of my neighbor's pasture, and I'm probably standing where there used to be a fence. And I was at this point starting to just really take in the enormity of what had almost happened. Almost everything was gone. This is from our neighbor's property. And what you're looking at is outdoor garden furniture and what's left over of their house. And that's a workshop that was still standing, but the next shot, you'll see what it looks like on the inside. There was a lot of metal in there, but even the metal beams were bent and contorted. This was a different neighbor who had a number of cars that looked like this. I had to include an ode to CAL FIRE and all the firefighters who saved so much more than just our property, but certainly they did save our home. And in the foreground, you see what used to be our woodshed, which was actually a pretty big building that is no more. A couple of firefighters from Riverside drove all the way up from there, probably at the Dixie Fire by now. And they were on the property every single day, checking on where there had been burns, looking for smoldering areas, helping us feel protected in the days after the 4th. Another shot of a neighbor's swimming pool, which just seemed to me to capture the end of summer as we prefer to think of it. So if I'd had more than 12 slots, I would have shown the original photograph as well as this one that I ran through Prisma. The thing with shooting stone that's been burnt to a crisp is that there's not a lot of contrast because it's just all gray and ashy. But with Prisma, not only could I bring out more contrast in this really interesting, but also devastatingly, singularly devastating shot of what remains of one of our neighbors' home. This, very unique formation of, looks like, a fireplace in the living room, and then upstairs, a fireplace maybe in the main bedroom. But I loved how the manipulation through Prisma brought out all this red licking around the edges of the chimney as well as into the trees. So again, the day we got back, I was very relieved to see that one of the little Bambinos or Bambinas, I think, and their mother were safe and sound and still coming back to our property where they've spent a lot of time over the last few months. Well, that baby's not a few months old, but we always have a lot of deer, and we had a lot of babies this summer, so I was worried about them. And finally, this shot. Same first day I was home and the sun was setting, and it really was that pink. I did not have to manipulate that color. Again, mostly because of the smoke from the Dixie Fire. And there was this electrical post that had this, capped top. And all of these woodpeckers would land on it, and I'd get a shot in profile, and then, it would fly away, another one would land, and then finally this red-tailed hawk came, and I was just clicking at this point because the sun was setting, and I could have done a whole series of just these birds. And finally I got one of them with their wings wide open. And for me, it was just such a moment of kind of redemption and revival of hope, I suppose, that there could be this beauty in the devastation.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you for sharing that very personal series with us.
Lucy?
Yes.
What road are you on? I'm on Mount Olive.
So the Getzes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was the workshop that
I guessed it might be.
Yeah, and so we're right behind there. So we're on Blum Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the horse property,
Oh, okay, we've met.
Yellow Barn, Yellow House.
Yeah, I'm the big green property, second house on the right.
We'll have to get together after
Okay.
this.
Very good. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
For sure. Any comments or questions for Lucy?
I might just add that probably half of these shots, especially on my first day back, were my also iPhone Pro 12. And the others are a Panasonic Lumix that I have, the FZ80, which allows me to get some close-ups like this. It's got a 60 times lens. So I love shooting the moon and the sun and animals from a distance.
Amazing capture, that one. Okay. Thank you for sharing these with us.
Yes.
Jerry Thomas, your turn.
All right, here I am. Okay, hello everyone. This first shot my friend sent me, he has a wonderful sailboat that's about 37 feet, and this picture was he sent me from Alaska, where he had it about a year ago. This spring I went down to visit him, and he keeps this boat at the Richmond Yacht Club down in San Francisco Bay. So I went with him when he brought the boat from the boatyard where he was having the bottom painted, and then he brought it over to the slip or the dock where he keeps it. I had my iPhone with me, and after we tied up the boat, I wandered around the dock taking some pictures, and I have a primitive iPhone 7, but that's okay because it didn't matter that much. But what I wanted to do is I like to go back to that attitude of, like little kids. If you think about that time when the whole world was fantastic, everything was a new discovery. You'd go for a walk with your mom, you pick up a pine cone or a rock, and you've never seen it before. So it's an incredible discovery. And you show it to them. And of course, they always try to humor you and say, oh, that's so pretty. That's such a nice pine cone, that kind of stuff. So anyway, this is the series I put together, exploring abstracts of the boat in the water at the dock with my iPhone. So this is the first one. And this obviously is the hull. Next, this is side of the boat in the water interacting with the boats. Side. Next. This is the rigging and the side of the boat. And I like these because I want that question to be, what the hell is that? That's my approach to these. But anyway, go ahead, next. Same with this one. Anyway, next. This one was just the water against the side of the boat and the paint on the side of the boat. And I just enjoyed the color and the light. Next. Again, this is looking down into the water, and that's obviously the rigging and the side of the boat reflecting. And so I'd love to be able to have these really large size. I think some of them would be kind of cool to see in a big space, but we'll have to do with this. So, okay, next. Now, this one is I put through a program I have in my iPhone. It's called Waterlog, and it turns any photo into a watercolor painting. So I flipped the previous one, I flipped it over and I ran it through to get this watercolor. Next. And this is just the side of the boat, the stripes along the boat. And then I like the water and that little sparkliness that happened almost looks like little waves in the boat reflection. Next. And this is the last one. I call this one Night Sky. And again, this is the side of the boat and the water along the bottom of the boat. And anyway, it was a fun exercise. I didn't even start out to, do a series, and these all I took in like probably an hour, just walking around the boat, taking different pictures. And of course I edited these, but anyway, that's it. Had a fun time doing it. Hope you enjoyed them.
Definitely love those primary colors there. Anyone have comments and questions for Jerry?
How did you process these, Jerry?
I just have photos, I just use the editing program in Photos, and, I played around a lot with the contrast and brightness and, various sliders to just get what I wanted out of these,
I can see these being printed on metal. I think that would be pretty cool for the depth and the color in these. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Jerry. Beautiful. So guess what time it is? Let's take an intermission and go get your next glass of wine. We're halfway through. And we've seen such a variety. It's been great. So let's come back in about, I don't know, 5 minutes. Would that work for you?
Yep.
Okay. We'll see you in 5 minutes, 7:35, according to my watch, right? All right. Thanks. Hi, Carol.
Oh, Anita and Ruth, so glad that you were able to join us tonight.
Thanks, Eva. I'm actually on the phone, so I'm listening but muting.
So Eric, I have that that one from the lighthouse, and I was gonna try to dig up your photo and just send them something. If you got a pencil and paper.
Okay, just a sec.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's info.palight@gmail.com. And there wasn't any particular person. There was just one of the docents. I think his name was David. But if you want to send them some thumbnails or something like that, I think they'd find it interesting, and maybe you could have it featured up there.
Okay, great. Should I mention your name?
Oh, you can just tell them that the guy I was up there with my dog Liam, and just tell them I showed them some of my lightning strike photos from the Pigeon Point Lighthouse and stuff like that. So maybe they'll remember. I don't, wasn't any. They found that interesting, and I said, well, I know somebody that has some really good shots of the Point Arena light. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah. I think they'd find them really interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Let me know if something comes of it.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, Lucy, are you on?
Let's see.
She may not be here.
Yeah, well, she's still
is she muted?
Still there, but she's muted, and maybe she went and took her break because
she was emailing me during the fire, and the river fire got so close to us, right up a few miles away.
Right.
And she's emailing me. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Scary stuff, I'll tell you.
I know, and we're
Front
not we're not over yet. We got a long way to go.
We do.
So Mark, your ghost is gone.
Oh, yeah. He went to take a break.
Yeah.
I think we have a new reality, Rachel.
I agree. And I'm not happy about it.
No, so I was just down in Pescadero, and I was showing my lightning strike photos.
Yeah.
That was a year ago, almost to the day, when I was down there.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it started a whole new thing. It's like every day now.
It is like the plagues. It's just like,
Yeah.
what else? I love California, but my goodness, this is
Yeah,
Not
but
for California, though. It's Oregon, Washington.
It's
Canada.
true. When you look at the app, the red fires, I mean, they're all over the West.
Yeah, all the way to the almost to the Midwest. I couldn't believe. That's why we're not getting enough help on these big fires, because, well, the pandemics, a lot of people aren't coming from overseas to help us. And there's so many people in other parts of the West that are, trying to deal with fires in their own state that they just don't have the personnel to send.
Well, not only the Midwest, one of my very best friends is in Boston this year. And so she called me to chew me out because their air quality is really bad. And come to find out, it's actually the California fires on the jet stream that happened to pass through Newburyport, which is where she is. The California affecting their air quality. Like, wow. Wow.
Yeah, I've heard about that. New York, some of the East Coast.
Yeah.
There were some summers in Alaska when there would be really bad fires in Siberia, and we'd get the smoke from Siberia.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. It was just, sometimes we'd get dust in from the Gobi Desert. I mean, it was amazing how far the winds will push things.
Rachel, you have to tell your friend that if they don't want our smoke, they have to send us water.
I know. She was complaining about the rain. That's what I said. You send us some rain.
I know. That's what I We need their water. There's got to be a way to get their water.
Yeah.
I have to say that I took 2 vacations in the past 3 weeks, and one was down to Monterey, and spent a week down in Monterey. And, I started looking at houses down there and thinking, but, it's the people up here are what makes you come back. And then this past week I was in San Francisco, and every day you just go out and you just breathe, they say, wow, this is all I have to do. And stayed in a place right at Sutro Baths and near Seal Rock. I don't know, I guess most people know what that is, out on the West Coast. And it was, you could see the damage from the pandemic in that the Sea Cliff restaurant not only is closed, but it's abandoned. And so is the restaurant up a little bit up the hill there from the water. And in some places, like in the Balboa Business District, there were restaurants that had 4x8 sheets of plywood. They were just like so closed. It's like getting ready for the apocalypse, I guess. But we did find good restaurants and beautiful scenes and great museums. So and clean air. That was it.
This year we're lucky on the coast. That's clear. But if you can remember, I think it was last summer, there were some humongous, Clear Lake and Mendocino area and stuff. There was all kinds of bad fires out there.
Well, let's get going. It's a little over and we are halfway done. So let's get sit back. I hope you all got your glass of wine. I see Jerry did. Yay. And I'm going to start sharing, and I will go to full screen. I'm going to have to redo it, but we will get there. Let's see. Still there. Yes. All right. It is full screen. Is that correct? Rachel?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. All right, Tom Quinn, are you here? Was Tom ever in the meeting?
I do not see him on the list.
Okay, then
No, he is not present on my.
all right. Then I'm going to just take you through his presentation, which is behind the stage. He did shadow puppets in Nevada City.
And Kathy, he did tell me he would not be here. He's backpacking, but I suggested that he have somebody else present his work, but clearly that hasn't happened. So we'll just enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes if you aren't going to be here, I ask people to send me a little blurb or something, but I wasn't aware of that. So we're just going to, and as Rachel said, we're just going to enjoy his shadow puppetry.
Okay.
I wish I had a little background music for you, but.
Did anybody attend this show that they could give us any explanation?
I did.
All right, Douglas.
It's a Burning Man inspired art project. I think it's also inspired by Balinese art. It's just people doing a puppet show with a really cool set and cool lighting.
I think these are all children, aren't they?
In these pictures, it looks like it. I
Yeah,
don't remember
I think they're all children.
that being a detail.
Yeah.
I think adults did other shows.
Is the background as it was? Is that a screen or something
Yeah.
behind them?
Yeah, it's a really cool looking fabric.
Okay.
And are the lights from the lights on the street? I know Tom doesn't manipulate his photos at all.
Well, you can see through in the last picture you just went past, you can see through the screen to the white lights lining the peak of the building in the background, the Nevada City building.
Right.
So you can see through the screen, and then I think most of the colored lights were provided by the theater people putting on the production.
Okay.
And I'm just questioning myself, saying it was Burning Man inspired. I'm thinking back if that's true or not. I'm pretty sure it's true, but not 100% certain.
Well, we'll have to find out from Tom. What a great activity for these kids.
Yeah.
All right. Is Michael here or was he backpacking with Tom? Okay, I think
No, he's not. He is not present either.
we lost both Quins. All right. So as I understand it, this is a road trip. And these are all pictures of Michael's van in beautiful outdoor locations. I wish he would have included the inside of the van. That looks really cool. So he didn't give me any captions to read. So make your own captions, everyone. Makes you want to go camping and things. All right, and that was Michael Quinn. And if you have questions for either Tom or Michael, feel free to email them, and I'm sure they'll answer you when you get back from their backpacking trip. Ellen.
Hi, I'm here.
Great. It is
Hi.
your show.
All right. So I named the series Rorschach, and so it'll be pretty obvious, why. Because the technique I used was reflective water, and I flipped it on its side. But this particular part of the Yuba River that I photographed, it just was it lent itself to this technique really, really well. Really, really well. The water was fairly still. I actually went back over a couple of days to do these, because the first time I went down, it was towards evening. I was, and Kathy, you can just scroll through these at will.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna talk and let people look and, see what they can make out of it. But the first time I went down, I was actually intending to do something else. I was going to do some night photography and light painting with the river. And while I was killing time, I just noticed how still the water was and made these really interesting reflections. So I just messed around, photographed those. And then when it was dark enough, I did my night painting. And that was a kind of an experiment that didn't go very well, but I went back and I looked at these, and this was actually one of the first one, this kind of alien queen bee looking thing. That was actually one of the first ones that I started to mess around with, and I flipped it on its side, and I just thought, wow, that just looks so wild. It looks like this digital manipulated art, and all I did was flip it on its side and mess around with the sliders, and I just used selective, just use some of the brushes in Lightroom to do selective editing. And that's really all that I did. I mean, sometimes I'd edit out a few little, spots here and there, but for the most part, this is how it was. Actually on this one, you can see a little bit of green on there, and that wasn't. And so when I went back 2 days later, because I didn't have very many of these and I was really excited that, oh, these are really interesting. I should go back and get more while I can. And so I went back, and I actually went back with a telephoto lens this time, because it was the lens I had the first time. It was all right, but a telephoto was really what I needed. So I just went back and I just played around with it more, and I checked out different parts and different angles. And I just didn't go in with too much of a plan. I just went to go see what I could find.
You can really see a face in this one. Ooh.
It's kind of a malevolent looking.
This one's scary.
And this one is my favorite of the whole series.
And your last slide, it looks like a moth.
I thought so too. It has kind of this Art Deco stylistic, element to it, and a moth.
Very cool. Are you going to submit these to Wild and Scenic?
I think I will. Thanks, Kathy.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, they look perfect for Wild and Scenic to me. Anybody have comments or questions for Ellen?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Look like aliens to me.
Yeah.
Alien invasion.
Yeah, definitely a lot of aliens.
So creative.
I want to see them printed big.
On metal.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Or glass.
Oh, yeah.
Fracture.
Fractured glass, maybe like a little bit of an LED glow behind it.
Ooh.
Oh, there's a company called Fracture that prints on glass.
Oh, okay.
Or an alternative is to print this on fabric and then have a light behind it. So it has a glow too. That's another thought. So many possibilities, Ellen.
And so to get the shoreline really straight, you have to get down close to the water, I guess. So you're hand holding?
No, actually I had a tripod with me. So, and my tripod, the one that I use for outdoor photography, it can fold down really short. So, and I was able to, I actually had the tripod in the water itself, and that part of the river was really still, so I wasn't worried about the current sweeping it away. So, yeah, I got it down as low as I could.
Cool.
Thanks.
Right. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Bernadette. I know they're here.
Yes, I see her on the list. There she is.
Okay, good.
There she
Here
goes.
is.
Here we are. I'm sitting quite a ways away. Can you hear okay?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, great. One of the things on my bucket list for years has been to see Mount Rushmore. And so for Ed's birthday, as a gift to him, I conned him into going. So that was sort of a sneaky way to get there. So we were there June 1st this year, and fascinating South Dakota, just absolutely fascinating. The Badlands and the other areas we saw, absolutely fabulous. So one day, with all the helicopters going over to view things, we decided to splurge and go up. So we got on this little helicopter, and we had a ringside seat for Mount Rushmore. Go ahead. So this was the first liftoff, and the town of Keystone is down in the bottom there. And I think I was surprised to see it seems smaller than I thought at this point, but a great view of it. So Kathy, yeah, just keep going. This was getting a little bit closer in the helicopter. It was just Ed and me and the pilot, of course. And so off we went. And he kept getting a little bit closer. These are all just out the window of the helicopter. And it was a little shaky, but the camera is good. And so we got up close enough to it to really get a sense of the work that had been done that took 30 or 40 years. Then we went to the memorial that's at the base, and the camera's a long lens. So we took the individual pictures of the faces, and the detail and the eyes just absolutely fascinated me. I can't imagine how they could have done this with dynamite and hanging off the edge of the mountain. It's really quite an incredible sight to see.
So Bernadette, are the eyes painted at all, or that really is rock work?
I think it's rock work. Yeah, there wasn't really any discussion. I don't think there's any paint involved in it. It's just really amazing.
Wow.
That light that's on there, and little things like the glasses that were on Jefferson. You just see that little rim around there of his wire glasses. So it was absolutely fascinating. Great place. I recommend it. I think it was just really, really great. And then we went on and flew back away from it, and then went on over the Badlands and over some of the other monuments that are there, a little bit of Chief Crazy Horse. So it was a great trip. We had a good time, and very patriotic at night, lots of flags at the monument. It was a great trip. We had a good time.
Wow, thank you, Bernadette. That's quite impressive. I never knew that there was like, it looked like there were hieroglyphics or something. Like, let me see if I go back. Yeah, yeah, like see on the side, what is all that? All that small,
Those look like the drill marks where they might have placed explosive.
Yeah, the chisel marks.
oh, really? It looks like writing or something. Wow.
Yeah, chisel marks from when they were building it. It took, I don't know, from 1920 something clear till 1941 to get this accomplished. And one of the interesting concepts was that this gentleman, and I can't pronounce his name, Borgum or something like that, had done things like this in Europe and South America, and was brought in by the Chamber of Commerce to try to create something that would draw tourists to the area. And they were thinking of doing one of the local mayor's faces or some characters or animals or something. And this man from Europe said, I really think you should honor the country that you're in. And let's reflect on the first 150 years of our history and choose the presidents that were quite instrumental in that. And that's how it got started.
Wow, great close-up view of these. You don't know how intricate it all is until you see it like this.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Anything else for Bernadette? All right, thanks for sharing, and happy birthday, Ed.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks. All right, Jonathan Beth.
Let me see here, Jonathan.
He was here. I saw
He
him.
was here. Yeah, there he is. He's
There
here.
he is.
He's here.
Okay. The floor is yours, Jonathan.
Okay, 2015, I visited Israel for my nephew's wedding, and I had my wife and myself. We had few days to wander around Israel, and I'm drawn usually to the antique. I mean, to the old sites in Israel, like Jerusalem, Jaffa, and places like that, and to the religious aspect of Israel. So this is the Dome of the Rock. Okay, this is the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and it's, I mean, it's legend. It's both Muslim and Jewish. So, I mean, there is a lot of legends about this building. Okay, next. Now, okay, this is another place, is an old town, Rosh Pina. I am at the north. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a northern town. Also, it's a very similar kind of building, like stone building. And what attracted me here was the kids playing hide and seek. They're religious kids, and you will think that they will study, I mean, they will be serious, but no, here they're playing hide and seek. And so it was kind of attractive. This is the port of Jaffa. Jaffa is another beautiful, I mean, old city. It's a port. It's at Tel Aviv. It's just neighbors Tel Aviv on the Mediterranean. And here you can see a panorama of fishing boats. I made some changes to the sky, but never mind.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your changes?
I don't remember. Okay, I just did something like, in those days, there wasn't the sky swap thing that we have today. So I just took another sky and I just did the blending.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Amazing considering all the masks you had to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right, it's okay. It worked. Blending.
Oh, yeah, it did.
It's called blending, I think. I did. You know the blending thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use that probably. Okay. This is my wife in Jaffa sitting it's a beautiful town, Jaffa. It looks like how to say, it has galleries and restaurants, and it's by the Mediterranean. So it's a beautiful, it's very romantic place. It's almost like in France, sitting by a cafe. It's my wife. Okay, next. This is a Turkish hotel next to the place that I used to live in Israel. It's very old. It's like in the 1800s. And next to it on the left, there is a little building. It's called the Pit of Joseph. And traditionally, some people think that that's where the brothers put Joseph into the well, that little building. I shrunk I put that building, I moved closer to the hotel so it will look like one picture. It's a little bit further off to the left, but I pushed it to the right. Okay. This is in a place called Akko. It's another, it's a Muslim town, mostly Muslim live there, but it's also by the ocean. And it's made out of stones, just like the other places. And it's like, this is a Muslim guy smoking a nargila, from a nargila. This is Jaffa again. You can see the architecture is both Roman and Muslim. It's a mixture of both. So it's a nice blend, the two architectures. I like the colors too. This is Jaffa's port again from a different place, also a panorama. I did the same to the sky, I suppose. Okay, next. This is the market in Old Jerusalem. And I love it over there. I forgot to tell that when we landed in Israel, we noticed that all the cars have dust on them. At the, what do you call it, in the parking lot. And we thought, boy, nobody drives around there. And then when we went to a friend, the following day, we found out that we are under a sandstorm. So for 2 weeks, there was a sandstorm, and it's not the kind moving sandstorm, it's a static one that just sits like the smoke we have now. So it was a kind of disappointing for a photographer to come to Israel and have a fog. It was in September. And so the sky was not clear for 10 days. So it was a bit of disappointing, but I had to make the most of it. Okay. Oh, this is my wife becoming an angel. We found this painting on the wall in Jaffa again. And this is just architecture. Beautiful. They have these beautiful arches and porches sticking from the buildings. Jerusalem, the Jewish quarter. This is Old Jerusalem, the Jewish quarter. I love the arches and just the abstract nature of arches. This is also Old Jerusalem. I like the colors and the buildings and the feeling inside those places.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anyone have questions or comments for Jonathan?
So there was one photo. I think it was the second to last one. Yeah. No, the other one. Go back. That one. So I actually went to Jaffa and I have photos of those two doors that you can see.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I
Wow.
just
What
think
a
that's
coincidence.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I know.
I have a question, Jonathan.
Yes.
I was in the town, I think it was called Jaffa, that was in the Gaza Strip. Is this a different one? There's one just south of Tel Aviv that's in the Gaza Strip.
No,
Was
it's
this?
not in the Gaza Strip. This is in Israel. It's by Tel Aviv. It's south of Tel Aviv. This.
Okay. Okay.
It joins Tel Aviv. It's like on the same
Okay.
block.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan.
So
We get to armchair travel with you. It's kind of nice. All right, Rachel.
Okay. Well, you can, I guess I tell you, yes, thank you, whale of a tail. I don't know about the rest of you, but I've always wanted to get a picture of a whale's tail. And maybe the silver lining of the smoke, I don't know, but we were supposed to have a whole big family party up here at Lake of the Pines a couple of weeks ago, but they got up here and the air quality was so poor, they bailed and all headed to Monterey. So we all went to Monterey and went whale watching. And so to kind of set the stage for this, I was very excited because August is like whale month down there. And they said, you know, if it's a good day, you'll see some humpbacks. Humpbacks are the ones that do the tail flips. And they do what's called bubble feeding, where they swim in a circle to get the anchovies together. And then they come straight up to eat the anchovy. So a very good day would be you get to see a humpback with whale or bubble fishing. So we go out to see the humpbacks, and who knew we did not see a single humpback. That's how it goes sometimes. But what we did get to see are blue whales. And so before I show you the series, I did not know any of this before we went on the trip. But blue whales are the biggest mammal on Earth. They're over 100 feet long, 300,000 to 400,000 pounds. They do not do tail flips. They do not breach because they're so big and you hardly ever see them. Only 1% of the population, they tell us, has ever even seen a blue whale, because you usually just see the very top of them. Well, we hit a really special day and got to see not one blue whale, but 5 of them and 2 mother-baby pairs. So I got hundreds of whale pictures and they were flipping their tail for me. How cool was this? So this is a series of whale tails and the arc of the whale tail. And it's incredible that I was able to get this at all. So I was pretty tickled. So Kathy, if you would, I think there's 9 of these. So start with the next slide, please. So this is what you see. It's like, well, what is that? And then go to the next slide. Ah, here it comes. And then the next slide. And the next slide. Up they come. Keep going. And up it goes. Keep going. And down it goes. And then stop there. Oh, go back one. So we saw this behavior, which according to the captain was absolutely unheard of. The captain was absolutely beside herself that we even saw a blue whale, and much less to see them do the tail flips. And they were staying really close to the top of the water, she thought, because they had the babies. So it was quite a sighting. We were pretty darn excited. So then I had to decide what to do with my series. And so I was actually inspired by Ellen, who does a lot of the Holga kind of overlay images. So if you would, Kathy, to the next one, I was trying to be creative and teach myself how to use the Photoshop blending modes, which I've never really used before, of taking, these are 3 different whale tails in that series, and then overlay them and then use the blending modes to get something more creative. So appreciate the inspiration from Ellen, and pretty excited to finally get some whale tail images, you know. So
Very, very cool.
Is
you know, it's so much fun going through them really fast.
Yeah.
It's almost like one of those cartoons where it actually goes from beginning to end.
Well, I have my new camera, which if I have, this represents probably I mean, this is what, 9 images of the 100 in the original sequence. So they really do look almost like a movie, but the whales did it over and over and over again for us. It was just quite a delightful day.
Beautiful last image. It almost looks like a linotype or something, you know, like it's been etched. Questions or comments for Rachel?
Yeah, this is Keith McMahon.
Yeah, hi Keith.
There's a website called Happy Whale.
Oh.
And if you take pictures of the whale tails and send them into this website, they have every whale has a different pattern on their tails, and they give them names. And if they show up again some other place in the world, they'll send you an email that says, the whale that you saw in Monterey Bay on such and such a date is now in Baja California on this date, or something like that. If you're interested in doing that, you can send in your picture of this.
Thank you.
The guy who started this has a travel agency in Saratoga Springs,
okay,
California. I think it's I can't remember his name now.
Okay.
Ted Cheeseman.
Cheeseman.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Something
thank you.
interesting if you want to continue follow along with this.
All right.
Okay.
Well, as another, thank you. Another side note is that the aquarium researchers were out there with these mother-baby pair, and they were attaching these orange things to the baby. So it was really just fascinating to watch them get so close to these babies to attach they must be tracking of some sort for what Keith's saying, to track them through their lives. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Rachel, I'm wondering about that middle whale being so white.
No, that's Photoshop creativity there. He was not really white.
It wasn't intentional.
Well, no, it is not. That was just for artistic purposes. I will say though, in Monterey Bay, because my brother and sister-in-law live there, my brother-in-law kayaks in the bay. There is an albino dolphin named Casper. And so my brother-in-law actually goes out and rows with Casper, comes up beside him, and he's pure white. Yeah. Anyway.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. So a question for you, are you going to put this in Wild and Scenic?
No, I think I have another one in mind for Wild and Scenic.
Okay. Just wanting to, I mean, there's so many impressive photos that people are putting in, you know. Huh. All right. Thanks, Rachel.
Sure.
Gary, you are up.
Okay, go ahead to the first slide. When I'm traveling, I'm usually with a tour group that's moving along, and so I mostly take a whole lot of snapshots, but I do try to get some good shots occasionally. But also one of the things that really inspires me is when it's sort of naturally framed, or it's an in situ framing from what's there. So I see these as doorways to the world. It's not about it's not so much about the door, it's about the world beyond. This is actually taken in Petra. Next slide. And most of you will probably recognize this, the mountain of Huayna Picchu outside of Machu Picchu. Just using the door frame. And next.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you'll recognize this as Petra. Interestingly, usually the treasury is shot not from inside the very, very narrow chasm that leads to the part of the town where the treasury is. But it's a fairly long walk through this very narrow chasm, and you're mostly walking almost in the dark, and then you round a corner and there you are. Next slide. And this is in Jaipur, in the Amber Palace. And just, it's not so much the world beyond isn't so much, but I like this sequence of columns leading on and on and on and on, as though to infinity. Next. And in a similar vein of columns leading on and on and on to infinity, this is actually the underside of a corn rig, a corn storage shed in Galicia in Spain. Next. This is, somewhat less so, but you can see the columns leading towards and beyond. This is in the Alhambra in Granada in Spain. It's fairly, it's the well-known lion fountain. Pictures of the lion don't come out so well because the original lions have been put in a museum and rather abstract copies put in place. Next. And this is the Taj Mahal from a different angle. It's taken from the Red Palace in Agra, looking towards the Taj Mahal. So there are so many pictures of the Taj Mahal, but I really liked it, utilizing the natural architecture there to provide a frame for the picture. Next. This is in Hong Kong, a very large Buddha statue, Buddha emblem. And actually, I'm quite a distance, maybe a quarter mile from the Buddha here, but it's in a little village at its base that provided, again, the frame to go around the image. And this is, doorways into a different world, a world of wealth and inequality in Peterhof. It's the Tsarina's room at Peterhof Palace in St. Petersburg. And finally, a door into a different world entirely. It was a little surprising to be in various places in Europe that, oh, cannabis? Sure. What form do you want it in? This was in Barcelona.
And it's in English too, huh?
Yes.
They know who they're catering to, I guess.
There's so many, English has become such a lingua franca that lots of shops around the world, it seems, will adopt English names because it gives it cachet. To use a good English term like cachet.
Well, thank you, Gary. Boy, it looks like you've really traveled quite a bit. And again, it's so nice to do some armchair traveling through your photos. Any comments or questions for Gary? All right, then. Thank you very much. I think that that last image certainly made us happy there. All right, these are mine. And I'm taking you through my aliens. I've been going through a couple of different fun little series at home. And this one is Alien Fun in Photoshop. So on the right, you'll see the original photo, which is an orchid. And this really started as a challenge from a friend and professional photographers of Sacramento Valley, the former president Kimberly. And she sent me this. She had just snapped it with her iPhone and challenged me to turn it into an alien because we took a class together where we were taught to make aliens. So this is all made in Photoshop of the original. I took the elements of the original picture. This one I put in, this is the first photo I did after I took the workshop, and I put that in the county fair. And I put it in digital art. I didn't put it in photography because if you look on the right, I've got sort of a guide to all the elements that went into this. And the very top photo, even though it's not very big, that's the original background, and it was a photo. And I just cut out pieces. As you can see, there's cutouts, and I built it in Photoshop. All of these are done in Photoshop. And a fun story about this particular photo, it was hanging at the fair last week. And there was this gentleman that kept standing there staring at it. He like didn't move for 5 minutes. And so I went over there thinking maybe he had a question about the artwork. And I said, hi, I'm the artist. Do you have a question about this? And he turned to me full body and he said, I just want you to know that I'm one of those people that believes in aliens out there. And I want you to know that this image gives me hope. And I said, thank you. And proceeded to talk to him and his wife. I didn't know what else to say, but a friend of mine said that's the best compliment you can get when somebody really gets pulled into the story of the photo. So, other than selling it, which he didn't buy it. But anyway, that's the story behind this one. This is another one, the textures on the right. And it's a picture of a rock wall that's been eaten into by sea creatures. And what I do is I cut out a kind of a face shape, and then I mirror it so both sides are exactly the same. I use a lot of blending. Again, this is all in Photoshop. I use blending modes, and also in the blending modes or in the effects, there's a bevel and emboss feature. And so I use that, and also shading to give it depth and texture. So if you'll notice, like there's shading over the eyes and the ears, under the mouth, that kind of gives it the depth and texture. And I do that in layers in Photoshop. Here's another one, little furry kind of guy. And again, most of this is cut out, mirrored, beveled and embossed, shaded. The eyes are done separately. They're just done with the marquee tool, circular marquee tool. This is an actual photo again. This was another orchid that Kimberly sent me. And I made a little alien creature out of it. Pretty much kept the orchid. I turned it upside down, and then I added a layer of butterfly wings over it to give it that texture. This is some flowers that we took when we were on our field trip to the Buena Vista Gardens. And this is what you can do with these lovely little flowers. Make it into sort of a goat-like alien, I guess. I always give them eyelashes. So I guess they could be girls, I don't know. You guys could probably wear them if they want. So we went to, a couple of weeks ago, we went down to Southern California to get away. And the lower left picture, we went to the Bugatti Museum, which is pretty incredible. If you ever get to Oxnard, I highly recommend you go to the Bugatti Museum. There are about 100 cars there, all Bugatti, all beautiful Art Deco style. And I thought, well, I could probably make an alien out of a Bugatti. And that's exactly what I did. The background photo is a photo I took in Duck Valley when we were on the 20 Mule Team Borax Drive. And that seemed alien enough for me to put this alien Bugatti in. It was so funny because when I put together and mirrored things, the license came out saying mom. I didn't design it that way. That's exactly what it came out saying. This is a background up close. This is a typical texture that I might take, and that went into this one. Some people tell me that this guy looks like Mark. I don't know. What do you guys think? He doesn't quite have this coloration, and that wasn't my intention. I wasn't trying to. But again, it's if you can see the bevel and embossing, you can see the depth, the light and shadow that give his features or her features, I don't know, some shape and texture and form. So that it actually looks a little bit 3D. Again, another Bugatti. Look at that beautiful Bugatti. Oh my God. It was crazy down there. And I just decided to make this Bugatti into sort of a French Bugatti. You know, he has the little beret and he has a goatee. So I thought it was kind of fun to play with his grills. And my last one was seaweed. So this was seaweed that I took at Morro Bay. It was just, you can see it's not anything special. It's just a picture of seaweed. And I decided to make an alien out of it. So this alien is totally made of that seaweed, that picture there. And of course, the background is Morro Bay. And that is my alien story for you. Any questions or comments? Okay.
Awesome. That was awesome, Kathy.
Well, Suzanne, you were there with me at that class, right?
I didn't follow up like you did.
Oh, yeah, it was fun. That was like, Ella got me into the bug of aliens, so that was great.
You should
Well
do a
done.
class on that, Kathy, a little workshop class, how to make an alien out of anything.
Yeah,
So
Suzanne,
creative.
Suzanne took it and Kimberly, the three of us were there together. I think I'm probably the only one who went a little overboard.
Kathy, Hollywood is calling.
Yeah, right. Well, if they could animate these, they'd make some wonderful characters, right? We could do whole animation. on
You
it.
should try, Kathy, you should try to get an Area 51 sign in one or another of these.
Oh, yes, you should.
That would be fun.
I can see your alien workshop as being, basics of Photoshop, because I look at these things and I'm so new to Photoshop. I'm just astounded at what you're able to create.
Thanks. I
So-
am very willing to teach anybody what I know in Photoshop. I've done 2 classes already for the club. This would be obviously advanced Photoshop, but Gary or anybody else out there, if you would like me to do a beginning Photoshop class, just email me and I'll get you all together and we'll do something on Zoom. I'm happy to
waiting.
share.
I'm waiting for your 3-day master Photoshop class.
Oh, right. Well, I'm still learning all the time. Photoshop is, it's a hole in which I fell into, and it's going to the other side of the ocean, I'll tell you, on the world, because there's so much you can do in Photoshop, and I learn so much all the time. But I'm happy to share Photoshop, and I could take you from, beginner. You can start on stuff like this. This is a little too advanced, but I can get you there. So,
Well, Kathy, you should go back and look at the chat. There's some very nice comments in here. So be sure to come back and
thank
look.
you.
Very, very well received. Yeah.
I will, don't click off right away so I can get back there when we're done.
Okay. All right.
All right. Ann Westling, you are up.
So, and
Now, is she here because I wasn't sure she'd be
let
able to
me
join.
just, no, unfortunately, I do not see her.
Okay, well, I can probably share some of this because we were in exactly the same spot. We were down in Morro Bay. That last picture, that last alien was Montaña de Oro. So all these photos that Ann took were of swimming and playing in Morro Bay because Morro Bay is just full of you know what these are called.
Otters.
Sea otters. And they're all playing, and the moms have the little babies on their stomachs. And they're right there. You can capture them. It's just great. She calls this capture the flag. They tangle themselves up in seaweed so that they can fall asleep and they won't move. First place, artistic swimming. They have these amazing paddle feet and the very strong tail. They can move really quickly in the water. Leave me to my yoga. I don't know how they just float there and they move in amazing ways. They're so buoyant. Wow, did you see that black backflip? They spend a lot of time grooming themselves when you see them there, wrapping and rolling. My favorite game is snack time. And you'll see them eating those spiny sea urchins, those purple ones. I don't know how they do it, but that's one of the things you'll see. And please God, can we have abalone for dinner? And that's our last one. These are so playful and fun to watch. And if you go to Morro Bay, you know, definitely take as long a lens as you can. They're not far offshore, but you know, the longer lens you have, the easier you can get these guys. So if you have any questions for Anne, she's camping this week, I think. Actually, I think she's up at Jenner or around Jenner, I think she told us. So, so definitely send her an email. All right, Suzanne, woohoo, you're up.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, you tell me when to move.
Okay, my collection is autumn or fall, and these are studio images, and I don't even remember how many submitted. There's about 5 here. So this is the first one. Go ahead. You can go to the next one.
Okay.
I love the fall colors, the reds, the browns, the shades of brown, and oranges and stuff.
Can you tell us your setup?
Well, they're not all the same. So actually the hardest part of the still life is really the styling, and it just takes a long time. Usually I have a light starting on usually on the left for some side lighting, and not in this particular one. Let's go to the next one. Maybe the next one has it. Yes. And usually there's a spotlight on the background, and the background, it could be textured or it could be just, you know, just one color. This is one I took really early on. And things that you watch for is like, use odd numbers, like 1, 3, or 5 of something, and then you have to watch for tangents. You don't want like things to just kiss. You want them to be a little bit apart, and you don't want anything to going off the edges at all. And these are just things I've learned over the years. So you could go on to the next one.
So on this one, you have a little bit of water spritzed on one of them. Is that a technique for a reason?
Sorry, let me turn my phone off. Yeah, sometimes I do that. I haven't done that lately, so it's good you point that out. Maybe I should do that more. So this is kind of typical. Like I have on the left, I have a light. And then sometimes I'll have a spotlight if there's a lot of shadows, like maybe on the right peaches, since they're in a basket and there's no light coming in, I may have like a little spot over there. Very gentle. Then I have a spot on the background. Then I'll have usually sometimes a reflector on the right side. And I always have like an interesting tabletop. And this one has some hand painting in it also, which is in Photoshop. Oh, this is an early one. This is just like a harvest. And I don't know what to say about it.
Are you using strobes, Suzanne?
Yes, strobes. I do use strobes. Usually it's 2 to 3, sometimes 4, but usually just I always have 2 because one is on the background and one is coming from the left side, my left side, because of the way people read in the West. They read from left to right. So most people will light from left to right.
Can you talk? Oh, I'm sorry, David.
Oh, that's all right. Are you using a lot of colored gels?
No, the only gel is on the background, is on the spot. That's usually the only thing that has a gel.
So then on this one here,
Yeah.
the overall redness of the tint is just because of the subject matter and the intensity?
Yes.
And can you also speak to the artichoke and the depth of field that you got in this?
Oh, the depth of field, because I submit my images to Professional Photographers of America and they like everything in focus, I try to use f8 or higher. Sometimes I use 16 even. I always use a tripod, always, always, always. I never handheld anything.
That artichoke almost looks painterly.
Yeah, I don't think this one is painterly, and you can notice, I can tell myself because of the highlights on all the fruits. Usually I would soften that up. This is early on, and I was just randomly selecting a bunch of autumn or harvest images. One thing when I look at this that I really don't like is that you can see that the background is really a cool color as opposed to all the warm colors in the picture. So if I was to do this again, I would have this like a brown or an orange or something.
And so on your vignettes on these, how do you create your vignettes? Are they done post-production and
No.
or are they just done because of the
I'm not that good
of the
in
light?
Photoshop. So I have a light. Okay, see how this particular background is textured. I have a light which is on a really little teeny stand. It's on wheels. It's really cute. And I have a gel, and I have a grid on my light. Probably 20% of the light is forced. It's like a 20% grid. So and it's gelled with an orange. That's how I do that. It's pretty easy once you know how to do it. And then like that table is sitting about, wait, I have to look over to my left here. 6 feet from 6 to 8 feet from the background. And the light is under the table, and I move it around till I find it the way I want. And I have a light directly on the wheat because you can see that it's it's really, really highlighted on the left, coming from the left. And then I also have a light coming from the right because you can see on the right, the leaves on the right are a little bit lit up. And you can see the shadows coming forward from the light on the right, sorry.
So all the deep shadows of the bowl and everything else, those are just lighting contrast levels that are creating that?
You mean underneath the fruit?
Yeah. And underneath the bowl and everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are all from the lights. I usually don't do anything to the shadows in post-production.
And can I add, Suzanne, that we have invited Suzanne to teach a class on still life imagery. And one of these days, she wants to do it in person because that's the best way to learn this. So one of these days, we are going to get Suzanne into the studios or into the church, and she's going to do her thing, right?
Right. Oh, I have another one.
You have
Okay.
2 more.
I have what? 2 more?
This one and another.
Okay. Okay, so then, many of those were a little bit older, and this one is a little bit later, and I'm starting to learn how to paint. And so you can see my highlights are softened on the picture and on the apple and on some of the fruit. And I'm learning how to use the mixer brush, which is like painting. So you can make the highlights, you can soften the highlights by using the mixer brush. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about
Did
this.
you do any painting on those flowers?
I don't think so. but I've been learning more. So I have started to paint a little more. But actually, I have been on hiatus for, oh gosh, at least a year. I haven't taken a picture.
Oh,
wow.
And so this is early before I was painting. And this is sort of an autumn scene. Every year I used to make, before COVID, I would make a still life with 12 images from the year. Like, so if I was to do it in 2022, it would be 12 images I created this year, and they'd be flowers or still lifes. And so I created this one for that, for one of the calendar pictures. And I just love these harvest scenes. I can't get enough of them.
Are you planning on doing some for this year?
Probably not, but I'm just starting up again. So maybe next year.
Okay.
So Suzanne, if I may ask, what type of strobes are you using?
I'm using Alien Bees and oh, what is the other one? Einstein. I have one Einstein and 3 or 4 Alien Bees, which are really affordable and really and really easy to work, because I am not like I'm technically challenged. Let's put it that way. And so with I don't have the attachment where you can, like, from your camera, you can, oh, I'll go up a stop on this, or I'll go down a stop on that. No, I look at the picture on the back of my camera. I'm like, oh, that's really hot. So I'll go over to that light and turn it down, or, it's like, so it could take me 2 to 3 hours, or maybe 2 hours to just style and create this. And then another couple hours in Photoshop to get it to where I want it to be.
Pro photo looking photos on a beer budget.
Yeah, she's amazing. And she's won a number of awards with Professional Photographers of America. Is that right, Suzanne?
Not awards, but they call them merits. And then they have degrees, and I have 2 degrees so far.
And some national recognition as well, right, Suzanne?
Yes.
Okay.
She's being very modest. She's
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling kind of bad because I'm showing these great pictures, and I'm feeling really like bad because I am so not doing photography, and I really want to get back into it, but I have one of those like artist blocks because I don't know, it's just a lot of work.
Well, maybe something that you saw tonight will inspire you.
I am like, I've seen such great stuff. Sorry, I'm probably taking way over 5 minutes.
No, it's okay.
And it is really inspiring, and I am going to start back. So that's why I joined the group, so I could do different challenges and new things.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is Robert Arnold here? Rachel, can you?
Let me type in his name. No.
Okay,
unfortunately.
he's a relatively new member, I think, but he's also a professional. If you look up robertarnold.com from San Francisco, Robert Arnold, oh my God, the photography is incredible. Apparently he's a peer of Imogene Cunningham and Ansel Adams. He's taken pictures of both of them, portraits. So I highly recommend that you look up his website. Anyway, I'm just going to go through these. This is what he gave us, COVID-19 Easy to Catch. And just check out his portraits. They are stunning. And these are all people who are masked. I don't know where he took them. I don't know when he took them, obviously the last year. Look at the bear.
Oh.
Yeah. Amazing. So I'm not sure that these masks were on these portraits originally. They almost look like they were put on after. If you look at this one, the strings are,
Oh,
yeah.
That one was on.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. They look like they were done afterwards.
Yeah,
Agreed.
he's excellent at what he does.
close, yeah, it's close. Yeah.
And of course, this was a black and white originally, and he put one of the blue masks on them. And these look like film. Douglas, would you agree?
Well, this certainly has a film edge.
Yeah, so I'm assuming he put that in because it's a film image, although, I mean, I don't know. He's not here to tell us, so. And this is his last one here. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not his last one. I don't know what this is.
See the reflection?
Yeah, it's the reflection.
So with them without the mask.
Yeah.
Not wearing a mask.
Again, I think these masks were put on post the vote, you know, post production. They weren't wearing. And that ends our program.
Good.
There wasn't mine.
Oh, wait. Really? Wait a minute. Oh, you're absolutely right. I don't know why. Okay, hang on. Did I miss anybody else? Just you? I don't know why I did. So real quick, hang in there, talk among yourselves. And I'll get Douglas stuff very quickly. I'm not sure what's why you're not in there, Douglas, but believe me, I will get you there real quick.
Old people.
So actually, I'll start with a little preface.
Yeah, you can talk.
You know, everybody knows the name Ansel Adams, but beyond that, not a lot of other famous or photographers are famous as household names. And one that's very famous in the photography world, but not a household name, is Edward Weston. And he has a little cottage in Carmel, and he and Ansel Adams were best buddies, and both of them and their wives would have fun parties at Edward's house. And the Weston family is still continuing. Edward Weston had at least two sons, Cole and Brett went on to become a famous photographer in his own right. And Cole Weston became a master printer of Edward's negatives. And then Cole had a son, Kim, and Kim Weston now owns this house and lives in it in Carmel and is putting on workshops. And Kim has a son, Zach, and Zach, for a little while, he's in his, I think he's 31 or 32 now. He wasn't all that interested in photography until just a few years ago. Then he decided, yeah, I think it is my passion. I'm going to follow in the footsteps of my father, grandfather, and great-grandfather.
Sorry, I have it. I don't. Let me see why it's not.
I think we had a machine that had belonged in his studio. John
A
was
machine?
developing machine or making prints, something in the dark room.
Oh,
We ended up donating to Sierra College.
oh, cool, interesting. Yeah, so this workshop's held in Edward's house, his living room. If the photo you guys may know, if you don't know the name Edward Weston, is that black and white bell pepper in a studio setting. That's Edward Weston's picture, and that was done in the living room of the house where we got to have this workshop. And
okay.
Kathy, you can just show them the way you had them up. If they're
No, it's okay. I think we actually have them.
okay,
All right. Can you see that? Or no?
nothing yet.
Okay.
No.
I'm getting there. Sorry about that, Douglas. All right.
You don't have your screen shared.
I'm working on it.
There you go.
All right.
Yes.
All yours.
There we go. So the back of this sign says 3 generation. It says Edward Cole Kim. And now they flipped it around and got this quickie sign up. So this is at Wildcat Ranch in Carmel. And next, the workshop was held in early April. It was the Weston Nude Photo Workshop. These are the grounds, the studio's on the left, and back up the path and to the right is the Bodie house. And then the house that's near on the right is Edward Weston's house. And the wall that's very closest, if you could just reach through that wall, that's his darkroom right there. We got to tour the darkroom. Next. And this is more of the front of the house. And this is where Ansel Adams hung out a lot. Ansel Adams partied here. Next. There's Kim Weston. And there was 9 photo students and 3 models. And another photo student had asked for Kim to stand still, sit still long enough for a picture. And I asked if I could take one at the same time. And they said yes. And then Zach is in the upper left there. That's Kim's son. And he walked in just to see what was going on. Next. Oh, and actually go back one, if you would. This is Edward Weston's desk and his camera and his living room. And it's all the history is right there. Every single piece of photo, everything in this room has a lot of historical significance. It's all very fascinating. Next. There's Zach Weston in the studio. And next. And there's Kim with the 3 models from the workshop. That's Gazelle, Lael, and Jen in the living room. And next. And then if we signed up on a sheet, we could have all 3 models at the same time for a photo idea. And I was working on building a collage, but this is one of my working images. Next. This is Jen in the Bodie house with one of the props I brought up. And next. This is Gazelle, also in the Bodie house. The models rotated. They would stay in either the studio or the Bodie house or the Weston, the Edwards house for all day. And the students would rotate between the 3. And they're all just 25 feet away from each other. So that was easy. Next. This is Gazelle outside the Bodie house. And that's there's a steep slope going up behind the house there. And next, there's Lael, and I entitled this The Ghost of Edward Weston's Muse, because Edward Weston was famous for doing nudes along with a lot of other subjects. And next. And there's Lael in the garden between the Edward Weston house and the Bodie house. I wanted to do a playful picture, and she was happy to pose. And that's my set.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Douglas? And Douglas, I apologize for not getting those in the full body, but we were happy to see them here.
So Douglas, are any of the descendants photographers?
Well, yeah. From Edward, then Brett became a photographer, but then the son of Cole was another son of Edward's, and then Cole's son, Kim, is a photographer. He sells fine art prints, and now Zach is also selling fine art
Oh
prints.
gosh, okay, so they all do. All right.
Yeah, so 4 generations.
Wow.
Very artistic, Douglas.
Yeah.
Thanks. I did actually get a good reputation there at the workshop, as they said to bring props. I brought props and nobody else did. And then I became known as the prop guy. And they had 4 students, I think, that were veterans. And then the newbies, I was one of the newbies, and they're never quite sure about the newbies. So they put the most veteran student with two of the newbies. And I learned throughout the workshop, I could tell by the way they were acting, that he was reporting back, do we need to worry about some of the famous photos walking off, or is he a good photographer or lousy? And I got a pretty glowing report from him to the Westons.
Did you use it light painting techniques?
No, this workshop was very strictly available light only. So that was my challenge. People asked what I learned. It's like, well, I went there to learn to see if I would want to put on workshops like this. I can't say I learned much photographically. But
I like your approach with this. Even though you do a lot with the light painting, I like this very much without the light painting.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they came out really well.
When was the workshop?
It was the weekend of April 11th.
Oh, so it was this year.
Yeah.
Cool.
So very nice, Douglas. Were you allowed to use reflectors? Or
Yes.
just, okay.
Yes, could do that if we wanted.
So how many images did you end up taking?
Total, in the neighborhood of, oh boy, I'd have to go back 1,500 or so.
And those were just 12. Oh.
Yeah, they had us go through Friday and Saturday were the big shooting days, and they had us go back to our hotels and edit through and then have something like our 8 best pictures to show the next morning.
Wow, how did that go?
Took me hours and hours.
You hand holding those shots?
Mostly, yes. Of course, the ghost picture has to be on a tripod, but mostly handheld. Yeah.
Right. Then, did I forget anybody else? Or this? I don't hear anybody going, hey, you forgot me. All right, then I think we are officially done with our series. I hope you're as impressed with all of them as I was. We have, like I said, amazing talent in this club. And I hope it also inspired some of you. Certainly does me. Back to you, Rachel.
Okay, you might want to stop sharing your screen if you.
Oh, I thought
Oh, you know what? My setup tonight is very weird. I see you but it must be on me. You see me. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sharing. I stopped.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, great presentation, everybody. Thank you. The creativity never fails to inspire me. So, and the talent of this club is just incredible, as Kathy said. So thank you all. And that concludes tonight's meeting. As I said, no critique tonight. We're already at almost 9 o'clock. But in September, there will be the normal critique and voting for the July images. So don't miss that. Our next meeting is September 27th. I will send out an email to everybody on what the format will be, in person or on Zoom. And if I had to guess tonight, it might probably be on Zoom. But who knows? Who knows? We're taking it month by month, as somebody said. So with that, everybody have a great evening. Stay safe, and hope to see you all in person sometime soon. All righty. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Rachel. Good night.
Good night. Inspiring.
Yeah,
great job, everybody.
Thanks.